Since when?
Hey! All right. Sorry we're... Oh,
Whoops.
as I kick the whole desk and almost knock it over. Sorry we're late, guys. Welcome to Family Friday, Candid Conversations.
Good morning.
I was actually a little overdue because I was on the phone with our friend Matt Kazam. Matt Kazam runs something called Stand-Up Comedy Challenge. He works with CEOs and entrepreneurs, some pretty popular ones too, that do stand-up comedy. He's a stand-up comedian for years, super funny, written jokes for tons of people. Now he works with CEOs and entrepreneurs. And me and Leland are actually taking this stand-up comedy challenge together. He's also helped me with some other content and things because...
It's the biggest challenge Matt's ever taken on.
Yes, to try to make me funny is not easy. So, but we've always tried to put a little bit of a humor into into
Lauren,
life.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey guys.
I
So
don't have my glasses on. I have to get very close.
Let's see. Oh,
Oh,
good
Rachel
morning.
said good morning.
The
And it's
video's
sideways, like-
Why is that happening? Okay,
That is
just
so
straighten it
weird.
up.
Let's see. All right. We'll
have
just
to
like
sit super
cram our
close.
faces together.
See, that's
Thanks,
weird. I did that
Rachel.
last week. Yeah,
That's
thanks,
so
Rachel.
weird.
So, so we were a little late getting on because we were prepping for the stand-up comedy challenge. Leland and I were supposed to speak at do a whole bit each at a comedy club either in New York or Austin. I think we're gonna go to Austin after this settles down a little. Sorry, geez, technical difficulties today. Hey,
Not like us. Hey, Lauren.
so that kept us a little bit late today. But again, one of the things we're going to talk about today, which I thought was good suiting, was Matt got pretty deep into the science of humor and how keeping a sense of humor can be quite powerful in tough times. In fact, you even get as deep as, if you want to go really to the bad stuff, of like Viktor Frankl talks about in Auschwitz, keeping little jokes with his friends, even going through something like that. And it's not discounting sadness or severity of what's going on. It's just trying to lighten the spirits of you and the person with you just for the time being. So we really are excited about that. But
And two, just because you laugh doesn't mean it's not still hard, right? So
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we feel guilty, like something really bad happen. I mean, like a pandemic, like if something bad happens and you're like, oh gosh, should I be laughing right now? Like sometimes.
hey,
like,
Chris, what's up, buddy?
Sometimes we hold that guilt as like it's okay to be okay, and it's okay to be okay for a moment, and it's okay to be okay for a longer period of time. But I think comedy, like you're saying, like taking a comedy challenge and not taking yourself too seriously, it's okay to be okay, and then it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, and it's funny, we've talking with Matt, some of these CEOs that have taken the stand-up comedy challenge have started gotten along better with the people they work with and at home because they forgot their sense of humor. So I'd say with, today was about setting the tone with our family through this because we believe there is a leadership tone. You set the tone. If you're anxious, worried, pissed off, that's going to trickle down.
It definitely translates.
It trickles down to it. Humor has been something, again, I was never most likely to succeed. I was close.
Gosh, we are nailing this tech
there you
today. Sorry.
And, oh my gosh.
What is happening in this
There you
world?
go. Hold it.
Sorry.
So as you can see, this is kind of an... Okay, so there we go. So anyway, we talk about the importance of humor. And is it okay to laugh in tough times? I think it's absolutely okay to laugh in tough times. We've had friends who have lost loved ones up north. We've had friends in serious business situations. We've lost different things in business, from real estate deals to big talks that we were doing. But I've found that the more we've been able to laugh about it, and not with perfection, we've had our down moments and a couple of arguments and tension moments. Of course, we're going through a pandemic, no one understands. But setting that tone, I think one of the best ways, and no one messes up more than me. Jamie will attest to that, probably. But
We're all human.
we both laughed really hard. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. My son Leland, our 14-year-old, said, gosh, Dad's been so happy through this whole thing. It's
So annoying.
super annoying. So we're like, all right, we're doing something right then, because it'd be better than saying...
Leland's trying really hard to
opposite.
find something to go to counseling for, and he's just kind of grasping at
He's
straws.
grasping at that one. So yeah, that one, I don't know if he'll get it. My dad's too happy. So
He also said we're ruining his life with the additional toddlers we brought in.
yeah,
But
so...
he's over that. This morning he's begging to keep them around longer.
So
you never know.
let's talk about that. That's something that I wanted to say, and I think capacity grows when you set the leadership tone. We again, 2008 was a very terrible time for me. It really was. I mean, I came that close to bankruptcy. I was scared I was going to lose investors' money of family and friends, and I didn't. I was able to power through it,
that's nice
but it was
of you.
really tough. Laughter therapy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't think I handled it with grace. I don't think I handled it with humor. I was really scared. I was tense. I was anxious. And on day 2 of this pandemic, when I was feeling like that, because I had the unknowns, I said, forget it. I'm not going to do that. I don't know what's going to happen. But I survived 2008 as a real estate investor. We'll get through this. And luckily for our businesses, it is not, we've not been on the front lines of pain and turmoil like a lot of people out there. And I really feel for them because I know that. Yeah, we've had losses, but not the worst. But before I could even start to figure that out over the last 2 months, I think we just made a conscious decision. We said, we're not going to be, we're not going to set a tone of just fear, anxiety, and that. We set a different
Well, the
tone.
thing is you can worry, but it doesn't really change anything, right? So, like, same way with believing in something. You believe something's going to turn out okay. Are you harmed at the end of the day if it doesn't? I mean, I think that, you know, having laughter, having joy for the journey doesn't take away the severity of it.
Mm-mm.
It just gives you a moment's break.
Exactly.
And if you can teach your children, you know, one thing that we've talked about too is that we say a lot. I'm like, when you start getting down, you know, like self-talk, you know, like we all have sometimes some negative self-talk. And I'm like, you wouldn't let the kids talk about themselves like that. You better cut that out. And so just being mindful that, you know, what you're saying inside and it also comes out on the outside. And you want to make certain that whatever tone you're setting is the same example you'd like to see your children learning. Because right now they're learning so many skills that you couldn't have like come up with. You know, you couldn't say, okay, let's pretend we're going to have a pandemic. How would we act? Let me teach you about grace and courtesy in the shittiest of circumstances. And not real. I mean, it's really not been that bad. We've had a great time, but just knowing that, teaching them that there can be joy for the journey, even when the chaos or turmoil or there's negative things around you, but just showing them that you can have that joy for the journey and you can be okay being okay for a moment.
Yeah. And I think that gives capacity. I think I know
Capacity.
I've made better business decisions over the last 2 months by again, it was the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. I said, I am taking this from a whole, it might seem crazy that I'm going to be so optimistic and positive and
But what do you lose?
and didn't lose anything. It's been an experiment, and I like the way I've handled this a lot more than 2008. And maybe if I had handled it in 2008, I would have came out of it even easier. Maybe not, because it was a tough time. But what I'm seeing is our capacity is growing. We're getting different things with family talks and consulting that we never saw before.
Well, it stretched our creativity too. I mean, I think that if we were just grumpy, you know, and sat around and stuck our head in the sand, we wouldn't have seen like, wow, there's all these families that really need us. How can we serve? How can we serve? How can we serve? And I think that maybe that's given us a little bit of purpose too. That's kept us from, you know, purpose and serving always brings you closer to where you need to be.
Yeah, and I think, and again, we don't set the tone. We set it for our own family, and we like to discuss this. We are an imperfect family, but I think one thing that a lot of you have said to us, and it's been great, you know, we didn't expect, it was literally 3 weeks ago on a Friday night, we get the call at 5:30 from a friend of Jamie that runs a charity,
Almost 4 weeks ago.
Almost 4 weeks, that
Almost
these
a month.
2-year-old and the 4-year-old needed a place to live, and they were in tough times, and talk about stretching out of comfort zone. We did. And I know for me, has there been times when there's 4 kids, 5 and under, running around screaming that it's like, woo, it is loud. But from some of the things we've learned from these 2 kids that have, you know, joined us as part of, you know, a temporary additions to the family, man, I've learned a lot. And my understanding of how lucky we are has grown to an even higher level. I think a part of us were saying, we can't take this on. We can't do this right now. And that's Jamie's lead, where we said, no, I think we can. And doing it, just that's opened up all sorts of appreciation, gratitude, new ideas, new people that we're been put in contact with to help. And it's been
And to creativity, because we're like, okay, we started the pandemic wondering, how are we going to do this with 2 toddlers? And now, you know, our creation has expanded because we're like, oh, well, we better figure this out and figure it out fast. So that happens, you know, and I think going back to that capacity and growing of yourself in times like this, just kind of figuring out, you know, what's happening for you instead of what's happening to you, right? Like changing that little bit of a mindset and sharing that. That's the thing, is like anything that you're experiencing or that you're going through, your children are as well. And I think sometimes we disconnect those pieces and we think, oh, I'm enduring this, I'm experiencing this, I'm trying to save my business, I'm trying to save my family, I'm trying to keep everybody alive. But what's happening is that your children are also experiencing the same pandemic and in their own capacity. And so their capacity for social distancing is having to grow. Their capacity for tolerating us as adults is growing. And we're all seeing that, as this capacity grows, and as we're growing, it's just important to make sure that you're growing, I guess, in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
That you're setting that tone for everybody to be learning and growing.
And setting that leadership tone, one of the biggest lessons that I've been learning through this, don't discount what anyone else is going through. Man, that's the best way to disconnect the family. If you take that role of, I'm paying the mortgage, I'm saving the business. Yeah. Do you understand what's going on out there? Yeah, they do. And sometimes we have toddlers having meltdowns. They don't understand, but they know that they can't go to school and see their friends and do that. I mean, I couldn't imagine being 15, 16 and not being able to ever see my friends. Yeah. That was a huge part of life back then. And so to discount what they're going through and say, oh, that's all you're going through. Yeah, you're saying that through the eyes of a 40-year-old instead of a 15-year-old. And if one thing we've learned through ourselves and people we've been working with, when we respect what the other person's going through and don't discount it, then there seems to be more of a cohesion between the family.
Well, and, I think another thing we were going to talk about was resentment. And I think that when you have the ability to see that other side and when you have the ability to grow your own capacity for vision and empathy, then it reduces resentment, right? Like, as you were saying, just since these additional toddlers have come in, I've had moments and where I've been like, nobody talk. I'm gonna sit right here. Nobody talk to me until this cup is empty and on the ground. And so, I mean, there's moments where you just have to call a timeout, where you might lose your shit if you don't. Or you just feel tense or chaotic inside. And when you're trying to set that tone and not be chaotic and tense, it's just so important that you have a moment to be real with those around you and that you can communicate openly and, again, just set that tone and reduce the resentment. Because if you're like, okay, here's how we're going to operate. If it doesn't operate this way, let's all pull it back online respectfully, lovingly. And then you just keep, hey, Faith, moving forward, knowing that, you're all in this together and that you said, I don't know, I lost my wheel, but I'm just trying to say sometimes we lose our cool and you don't want to create resentment. You don't want to just keep losing your cool. I pick my wheel back up.
You keep losing your cool, you're gonna set resentment. If you're taking really heated phone calls right in the living room, I call it work puking in your living room.
And the kids are
taking texts, the kids are there and you're getting upset that they're making noise just being a family when you're actually impeding on their grounds. Or you're getting worried or turning on, we say half hour a day of the news, you're informed, 2+ hours a day, you're infected, then you're setting that tone and they're going to start to resent you. And not only if you have that energy of, just being tense, but also if you're like, big deal, you can't see your friends, you're going to mount up some serious resentment. Like, you don't see your friends, I got to run a business through this. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah. And then two, making sure another person reached out to and just asked, you and I usually have date night weekly. And since we've not been having date night weekly, and some of our families that we serve and that we work with have said, gosh, how do you find any time together? How do you continue to connect so that things like resentment don't happen, so that there's not an imbalance in the roles in the home? Because that could really easily happen right now. We, brought on 2 children. So my mother load, my parenting load expanded. You're taking on extra. So your business load expanded, and just being really respectful of each other. How do we find a time? Because we're kind of always together, but we're not actually together. So how do you create the intimacy or the depth with one another during this time when you can't really get a date?
Yeah.
So that I'm not resenting you and you're not resenting me. And you know what I mean? How do you facilitate that? What are some things that we've done that you feel are effective?
Taking a walk.
It's good.
Setting up tea time after bedtime. Mm-hmm. We have toddlers to teens, so toddlers get to bed and then the teens have some time themselves and we have time to talk after that. So we're up early and in bed early and then we have that time. You know, on
And
my
that, like scheduling has been pretty important. So like if the toddlers aren't asleep early enough, then we're not getting to see the teens, or we're not getting to spend our time together. Wouldn't you say? Like, so it's so important that, you know, we've also talked a lot when something will change up and we think, okay, so it's not just like this one part changes, it changes like 4 other things on down the line. So I guess being mindful too on how you structure your whole day so that it lines up for each piece. So like dinner has to be on time so that bedtime is on time, and then you and I get to take a bath together, or, you know, all of the things have to line up. So just honoring the schedule too, I think, has helped us.
Yeah, staying in schedule. Our boys, until they finish school, they're up early every morning. We don't want them sleep until noon during the week and then try to stay at school. Yeah, right. We kept them on that. I'm on my team huddle every morning at 9 a.m. And up usually at 6 every day. So that's helped things as well. And we are pretty sacred on 5:30 to 7:30, or sometimes 6 to 8 if we're running over, where everything's off. Phones, TV, laptops, they're all off.
We're just kind of available for each other.
We're available for each other. And then what's nice is the kids have been starting to get into their own stuff, and Jamie and I can sit there and talk for a half hour, and there's no distractions.
Yeah,
there's
the
no
toddlers are
buzzing
starting
phone,
to play together without needing us.
which is really good. So anyway, just know we just wanted to get on for a few minutes today and say there is a leadership tone, and if you're anxious, cranky, scattered, you're going to set that tone, and there's going to be resentment if you're discounting what the other people in your family are going through. Like, oh, big deal, I'm running a business, you're just handling the kids. Like, that's a really bad thing to say. Don't ever say that to you.
Well, I said 6 of them.
Yeah, 6 of them.
Oh, you're only handling 6.
So, but anyway, I've learned better than to say that, because I know it's not true. Not that I
know.
shouldn't say it.
You're great.
But we don't want to discount what anyone's going through, and because that's a sure way to come out of this, where your kids are going to be like, all right, well, screw you. You know, I'm going to be with my friends. You didn't see the importance, because again, I think we're looking at through the eyes of a 40-year-old instead of a teen. I mean, it was different. Things are different of importance, and I get that. So, you know, just remember what tone you set. If you want less toddler meltdowns, less teen grumpiness, you cannot just alleviate, you know, get rid of that, eliminate it.
Yeah,
but you can minimize it. And I think that's with setting that leadership tone and
being present. I think, like, being a good leader. Sorry, and I'll quit talking because I know I derail the train all the time.
No, you don't.
But being present kind of keeps you, again, honoring the schedule. Being present keeps you from, you know, creating resentment, because there's no resentment like thinking that I'm talking to you and you're actually like, oh wait, I didn't hear you because I'm on my phone, or, you know, whatever it may be. So I think being present helps you honor everything, those around you.
Just be aware of if you're walking around tense and thinking in your head and pacing, your kids are going to pick up on that. Your spouse is going to pick up on that.
And have a good laugh, like we started with.
Yeah,
you know?
that is key.
Stand-up
If you
comedy
can,
challenge.
stand-up comedy challenge. Humor is important. It's okay to laugh in times like this. In fact, I think it's imperative.
Okay.
Yep, and that can help. That can help loosen the reins of stress and also produce opportunity and just better overall family life. So anyway, we look forward to seeing you guys soon. We're going to be putting out some more stuff that hopefully will support you. We're very excited about the last series we did, the Family Crisis
Our program
Leadership.
launches in a couple days, I think.
We've been doing a lot of programs, gotten on
does the
some
podcast.
news stations, lots
True.
of big podcasts.
If you don't follow us on YouTube, you should. There's lots of good stuff on there. Instagram too. We share a lot of personal photos and goofy stuff. It's our personal page, but also like we just merge everything together. So it might be a picture of Jim surfing, or like our cat killing a snake, or something random. It could also be inspirational.
It's called Real Family Life. So anyway,
But it's a good glimpse into like us, I guess.
yeah, join us there, and
care.
please share the emails too of things you're struggling with. You know, we know about the technology and the having that feeling of bitterness towards hard work and not understanding the other people in the family. So hopefully this helped alleviate a little. And
We just talk like this, so both of our faces.
that's it.
fit
So
in.
we're off for our anniversary tonight for our first overnight to a hotel that's 25% occupant. And we thought we would take the risk of being able to do that because we've earned it through the pandemic.
Fingers crossed, we're actually hoping we get quarantined together for 14 days.
Yeah, maybe that'll happen.
That'd be terrible.
So we are being safe, but venturing out, just the two of us, to a very desolate spot on one of our favorite islands for the night for our anniversary, to try to get that one-on-one time. So we appreciate you guys being here today. Just remember, the tone you set is the tone that will trickle down.
Bo show.
Take care, guys. Thanks for joining us. See ya.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh. Talk to you soon, bud.